Hey guys, it's Jack. Love is in the air. Happy Valentine's Day. Actually, it's not. It's the middle of July. I just don't know how to start videos anymore. But for real, in this video, we are going to be talking about love or the ships on Drag Race. I'm going to come out and say that regardless of the TV show, regardless of how it's handled, I normally do not like ships on reality TV. Nothing about them, especially Drag Race ones, are offensive in any way. I just cannot relate or enjoy it whatsoever. A showmance on Big Brother, any of the dating shows, and of course Drag Race relationships, none of them are handled in a way that I can enjoy it because it's through the lens of reality TV. Where a written TV show can get in and depict an intimate moment acted, reality TV has to rely on two people being intimate on camera. To me, it's just harder to get sucked into the moment when it is reality TV, so I'm glad a lot of these shows have the storylines but don't make them the main focus. And Drag Race is a great example of it. For as many seasons and franchises and spin-offs and all of that, there have been only a couple relationships that have been really highlighted on the show. And to me, it's mostly because they're there for a competition and it's just not the environment to really cultivate a good relationship. The showrunners want to catch every single moment on camera, so the queens don't get to interact a ton when it's not being filmed. So when stuff is being filmed, they have to focus on the competition at hand, and a lot of them just don't have time to mingle with other queens. And though Drag Race doesn't make these ships the main focus of the show, if they have one on the season, they are going to play it up. Of course, myself, I don't really love the showmances, but that is not true for so many other people, and I understand why. It's overall a really cute storyline. You already fall in love with these queens, so when they fall in love with each other, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. But something that I'll expand on a little later, if the show isn't about coupling up, being a couple doesn't really help out your game. Though it gives you a storyline and a lot of camera time, the main focus of Drag Race is to be America's Next Drag Superstar. And when a portion of your camera time is devoted to why you're good in a relationship rather than why you're a good winner, obviously it's just not going to be that favorable for you. But there are some other cases where it could actually help your game as well. So today I want to go through each of the ships and talk about them a little bit and whether it helped or hurt the game of the queens. These queens are all lovely people, so if you love how they love, you should go send them some love. And speaking of love, let me talk to you about a product that I love. This video is sponsored by Harry's. Harry's is a razor brand that aims to reimagine and reinvent the personal care industry. They have extremely high quality razors at very fair prices that are designed to give you the best shaving experience possible. The blade itself is a perfect balance of sharp enough to work super well, but not too sharp to where it's uncomfortable. And the handle of the razor has a really nice grip pattern that makes everything super easy to control. I often struggle to find a razor that's right for me because of my skin type, but I've had no problems with Harry whatsoever. And on top of that, they have some of the best shaving gel I've ever used in my life. I have this pet peeve where some of the shaving gel smells so overbearing after use, but Harry's is so light and refreshing, I love it so much. If you're interested, you can use my code linked in the description to get your starter kit for just $3. In this starter kit, you'll get a 5 razor blade cartridge, weighted textured handle, shaving gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3. It comes in a nice little package like this. It's super cute, well presented, and I cannot stress how amazing of a deal this is. You're getting all of this for just $3. I think that's a steal. One last thing, this is a completely risk-free purchase. They have a 100% money-back guarantee. So use my code linked in the description and start your shaving experience today. And now let's get back to the video. I think it's only best if we start off with Season 5, Jinx and Ivy. Of course, there have been a lot of really great friendships on the show before this, but this was the first time where it really felt like it could be an actual relationship. The only issue is most of the content came in one episode, the same episode that Ivy was eliminated. There were a lot of hints over the course of the season that made people think, oh, they might be into each other, but not until this episode did we get like the full brunt of it. There's a lot of talking, a lot of confessionals, and then Jinx confesses to the girls in the workroom when Ivy isn't there that she has a crush on Ivy. And right before this, we had a very twisted coming up moment that I talked about in my edits video.
Coming up. Can I open up to you about something? Mm-hmm. I have a crush on Ivy Winters. I love you.
This type of relationship was very new to the producers, and they knew that it could probably be pretty successful, so they played it up as much as they could in the single episode. I think it's a really sweet pairing, and I don't really think that it had a negative impact on either of their games, and if anything, it helped them after the show because it was only really focused on for one episode, the same episode that Ivy went home, so people were really wondering and they followed up with it. It was really cute to learn more about the friendship they had over the course of the season, and it served as a really good storyline for the episode, but of course, because it was only that one episode, there isn't a ton to say outside of that. So then let's look at the exact opposite. If Ivy and Jinx served as a way for the producers to test the waters around shipping, Brooke and Vanjie sailed that ship into the night. Over the course of the competition, Ivy and Jinx had a lot of hints dropped to say that they were fond of each other, but they never really acted on them. Within the first 5 episodes though, Brooke and Vanjie were already making out. Though this wouldn't be my first guess of queens that were gonna get together on the season, it honestly makes a lot of sense. We know very well that Vanjie is Vanjie, she's a huge personality, and Brooke is kind of the opposite of that, very laid back and chill. So to get in a competition setting and be kind of closed off from everyone, you kind of look for someone who maybe help balance you out, and that's what they got here. They really had the support of each other over the course of the competition, and I think it really helped keep their heads on straight. And though I don't think any of these pairs became pairs in order to get further in the competition, I think it did help these two out. Out of every ship that we're gonna see here today, they were definitely the most showy, so I know the producers wanted to milk it as much as possible. The producers were looking at them as individuals and thinking they were probably gonna go far in the competition, and now that they were in a pseudo relationship, that's just TV gold, let's keep them around even longer. Don't get me wrong, these two worked very hard to get to the place that they got in the competition, but having the added bonus of the relationship makes a very obvious and fun storyline that I knew they kind of knew the producers would want to push. But of course, storylines have to come to an end, and something that I think we'll see every time there's a really tangible relationship is the two lip syncing. It's a tried and true formula on Drag Race to get two queens who have a connection into the bottom, and I'm gonna eat it up every single time. If it's either hating or dating, it doesn't matter, it always creates a really compelling lip sync. So while yes, I think the relationship did help them in the competition by creating storyline and a lot of camera time, because it was so out in the open, the producers probably wanted to push the end to the storyline by making them lip sync. Honestly, I think in the long run for these two, it worked out super well. Obviously, they are still very close, even though they aren't dating anymore. Vanjie is a guest judge on Canada's Drag Race Season 3, they made money off their merch, and obviously Vanjie's getting paired with like everyone now and has a whole TV show about it. Why did I say TV show like that? To me, I think the pairing of Vanjie shows a lot of potential for the storylines that could happen on the show, but not as much the actual coupling and the entertainment that comes from that. It was just a little too calculated at some points with how the producers and editors were depicting it on TV, but that's no fault of Brooke or Vanjie. If we want to look at something a little more natural, let's talk about Taste and Ahura from UK Series 2. It was clear they had a very close relationship, obviously spending a lot of time together over quarantine and even before the show. But it was clear in the episodes before quarantine they had a nice on-screen friendship that wasn't anything more until Lawrence came in and tried to push something more. Obviously, I think they were very friendly with each other on the show, and that's what kind of clued Lawrence in, but I think they were trying to downplay that side of their relationship because they didn't want to make it a bigger thing. I don't know, that's just what I'm speculating. And then cut to the episodes post-quarantine, and they're living together now, and there's obviously a very nice connection, but they're not really dating.
Taste, the queen of face. But the last time I remember you served me face, you was laid on your back with your tongue out and I was sat on it.
Regardless of what Taste says to try and put out any speculation, there was still enough reason to put these two in the bottom together. And by putting these two into the bottom together, there goes Ahura, the frontrunner of a very close race. In my opinion, these two shouldn't have been the bottom two for the episode, but the producers were looking at other queens aside from Taste and Ahura to put in the top, so they were seen as a little more expendable. By giving into the rumors and then retracting them a couple episodes later, the producers kind of saw that, oh, this storyline is probably ending here, let's just put them in the bottom. So overall, I do think that it hurt their game, and it sucks because both of them are such powerhouses of raw talent. But if you want the most extreme example of this storyline's going nowhere, let's just eliminate one of these queens, let's look no further than Rosé and Denali. Out of every ship that we have seen or will see, this is the one that's the most, okay, they're just very close friends. I mean, they kind of had to be. Denali had a boyfriend outside of the show that was revealed during the psychic part of that one episode of season 13. Over the course of the competition, we saw them working together a lot. They worked really well off of each other. They shared a lot of sweet moments, being like, I don't want you to go home, stuff like that. And then we get to this psychic moment, basically being like, oh, I see a connection between you two. And it's just a little awkward, the whole situation. It's something that they could laugh off pretty easily, but up to that point, I think they just saw their connection as very good friends, but it seems like this psychic was trying to push them into a relationship, which is basically the producers trying to push them into a relationship. After that moment, they played it up a little more in the reunion, but it was clear they were just doing that for the fans and it wasn't an actual relationship. And when they denied it in the episode of the psychic, Denali was also sent home. I don't think this was the complete reason Denali was sent home, but it probably did play a factor. They were obviously not giving her the time of day at all over the course of the competition. So then they tried to do one final push with this relationship thing with Rose, and when they denied it, they were like, okay, this is it. It's frustrating because I think these two just didn't really have control over their placements at all in this competition. There were a lot of frustrating moments where I think they could have been placed higher, and then they were kind of put into the storyline where they might have been in a relationship, but they just saw each other as really close friends. So yeah, by them being super close on the show, it kind of hurt Denali's game especially, but they can't really help it because they were just being good sisters to each other. I think it was really smart of them to play it up after the fact because fans got really invested, but if they played it up on the show, maybe it could have been a bigger storyline and maybe Denali could have been kept around a little longer, but even then, I don't know if the producers would have cared for Denali, which is frustrating. If we do want to talk about queens playing it up after the show to maximize their reach, let's talk about Crystal and Gigi. If you go back and watch the actual show, it's very clear that they're not dating or anything, and even after the show, it's kind of clear they weren't dating. I think Gigi had a boyfriend at that point, but that didn't stop them from teasing it on social media any chance they could, which I think is just so smart. Almost every single instance of them being coupley was after the show, so they already had the knowledge that they were making the top 3, so they're like, okay, let's capitalize off of this and pretend to be in a relationship. They had a very genuine and loving connection, and I really vibed with that, but I don't think it went any further. They just wanted to play into it because they knew the fans would enjoy it. And honestly, I don't think it really impacted their game at all. Obviously, again, it was after the show, and it didn't really push them towards the win either because both of them lost. But I know they did it for the fun and entertainment and give people something to enjoy after Vanjie the season prior. And if I'm being 100%, this ship out of all of them was my favorite because it was very tongue-in-cheek and I was in on the joke with them. I just got to enjoy two queens that very much enjoyed each other in a very playful way online, and it really made quarantine a lot better. And finally, let's talk about the newest ship, Kangeria. I also really enjoyed Kangeria because it felt like such a slow burn over the course of the season. It never really went anywhere, and I kind of liked that. We got the setup with them talking at the mirror and Camden going, yeah, any chance that she could. A couple episodes later, we saw that Kangeria likes to date drag queens. After that, Kangeria comforted Camden after she was really upset, and that's about it. We didn't even get to see them kiss in Daytona Wins. I'm so sad. For real though, I think both of these queens just had their eye on the prize and weren't really ready for a relationship, but still shared a very fondness for each other, and I think that's the best you can look for on Drag Race. They really struck the happy medium of having this be a story beat for them, but not their full storyline, so they could still kind of excel and succeed in the actual areas of the competition. We could come back to the storyline and touch on it when we needed to, but we really just wanted to see Camden's stunts and Kangeria just be amazing. And as a viewer, I feel satisfied watching them in the reunion talking about the relationship and how it's still in its early stages. I think Vanjie was a really entertaining couple to watch, but by catching up with them in the reunion already being split up, it was just kind of sad to see. It was definitely the most realistic out of any of the couples we got, but I like the tease and the budding romance of something like Kangeria, and I'm glad we got that on TV and in the reunion. And what's nice is because it wasn't such a central storyline, it didn't hurt any of the queens' games either. Again, they were able to touch on it, but because Kangeria and Camden didn't really give them a lot, it wasn't the main focus. So like what happens with my other videos, did I learn to appreciate ships over the course of making this video? Yeah, I did. I kind of liked going back and watching a lot of these clips. It's still never going to be my favorite storyline, but I understand why other people are entertained by it, and I respect the queens who play into it. Though having a relationship on the show can kind of play you into a corner, it also gives you a lot of screen time, a lot of entertainment, and a lot of fans. Oh, and not to mention maybe even a significant other. With how amazing Drag Race is at depicting the talent on the screen, I never really see any of these queens as just being a couple. Even though Vanjie was arguably the central storyline for Brooke on the season, I still see Brooke as an insane performer and queen overall, rather than someone who's linked to someone else. Drag Race is a show with a ton of moving parts, so adding a couple ships in there, I don't think it's a bad thing, unless the ships are being forced and the queens don't really know what's going on. I don't think the producers should bank on the fact that these queens are going to get into relationships. I think they should just take advantage of it if it's actually there. And if one of the queens finds another queen who they're fond of, I think they should take advantage of that and play it up for the cameras because it's overall just really entertaining and the viewers are really going to love it. Thanks again to Harry's for sponsoring this video. Link in the description to get your starter kit for just $3. I actually think I need to shave right now, so maybe I'll go use my kit. It's a wonderful deal, so I think you guys should take advantage of it. I'll see you guys soon with another video.